In this demonstration, we're going to take a look at an equilibrium that involves iron and thiocyanate. And so this particular test tube right now contains iron 2 nitrate, and that's a clear and colorless solution. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add potassium thiocyanate. And watch what happens as I do that. As I pipette in this potassium thiocyanate, we get a nice color change. We have this orange solution. And so what you've seen here is you've seen the iron form a complex. This is a chemical reaction, and those thiocyanates are now attached to the iron. And since this is a chemical reaction, it's at equilibrium, and it turns out that I can manipulate this equilibrium by adding or subtracting things. And so I'm going to go ahead and in my little test tube holder over here, I've got 3 more solutions of iron thiocyanate. And they've all got exactly the same orange color because I mixed exactly the same amounts of potassium thiocyanate and iron. And we're just going to manipulate the equilibrium in 3 different ways. But we'll always leave this first one as our control so we can compare. So LeChatelier's principle says that we can manipulate equilibrium, so how much product we have and how much reactant we have, by adding reactants, taking away reactants, controlling pressure or controlling temperature. We're going to go ahead and add iron 2 nitrate. And we're going to do a really concentrated version so that it doesn't take much and we can see a big shift. This iron is the same iron that's already in the test tube, so it's like adding more reactant. So predict what you think is going to happen when I put some drops in here. If I add more reactant, what's going to happen to the color of this solution? Is it going to become more red or less red? Let's go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and drip it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 drops of the iron thiocyanate. So I added more reactant, and it looks like, compared to my original, the red color has intensified. Let's do the same test with potassium thiocyanate. So this time I have 0.1 molar KSCN, so a pretty concentrated solution again. And let's just do another 10 drops to match what we just did with the iron. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drops of potassium thiocyanate. And you can definitely see a color change, right? This is my original right here, and here's my color change. In fact, it's a very deep red. Actually, some special effects artists, when they mix their blood for the movies and for TV and things like that, will use potassium thiocyanate because it has that deep blood red color. So for these first 2, we manipulated equilibrium by adding more reactant. We either added more iron or we added more thiocyanate. But in both cases, we got the same result against the control, right? The color got deeper. Let's see what happens when we take away a reactant. And so in this last test tube, I have a substance called sodium hydrogen phosphate. And what sodium hydrogen phosphate does is it reacts with the iron and takes it away from the solution. So I'm just going to take a little spatula tip full of the white powder, and I'm going to spoon it into my solution. And I spooned it into the wrong test tube, so hang on. I'm going to spoon it into the original test tube, and I'm going to mix it up. Just shake it to mix. You can kind of see at the bottom where it's settled. And there we go, much, much better. I'm going to hold that up against our original. Look, we've made the color go away. I took away a reactant and I lost the color. It's LeChatelier's principle at work. Right? In this particular reaction, adding more reactant deepened my color. Taking away reactant lowered my color. So just a thing to think about when you try to understand LeChatelier's principle.